Welcome to the rain retreat. Shalom, of course. Okay. Now, I'd like to start the small meditation. Is there anyone who's never meditated? Okay, that's easy then. Okay, great. So we'll start with a meditation on breathing, a few moments, and then what's called setting the motivation, just to settle the mind in the right kind of frame of mind, if you like. Okay? Alright, so let's do that for a few moments. Just watch the breathing. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Alright. To set your motivation for today. Try to think that may this day today, may this help me to learn more about myself, about my own mind, so that I'll be able to remove some of the negative or disturbing emotions. That affect me in a negative way and make life more difficult. And may whatever I learn here today help me to become more peaceful, more content, and in that way able to deal more effectively with the challenges of life. But also have a positive impact on the people around me, my family, friends, the people I work with. Set our motivation now. Well, let's start with this text, with this book. I already taught the first part of this book. Oh, there's another chair right there. If any of you needs a chair? So last year we started the first part. I did the first part of this book, so some of you may have been present, some of you might not have been here. So usually the obvious way to do a book over 2 years would be first one part and then the other. But with this book it doesn't work that way. So the way I did it was I gave a more general explanation last year, as in like I didn't follow the book as thoroughly. And this time I want to go more into some of the ideas here that are presented in this book that I'm feeling they may not be easily understood, but they're still really helpful. So that's what I'm trying to do. And also introduce to you the meditations so that we meditate in between. Oh, that's fine. But I have the time on here. Okay, so, all right. I need to be sure I don't stick to the schedule. I'm notorious about not, so I'll try to keep to the schedule. Okay, until 12. All right. Now, what you need to know is that this is a really difficult topic. But I'm in Israel, so I'm all right. So I find it, teaching this topic here in Israel, people are very open to it, and there is this tendency already to analyze and to question, etc. So that's a very helpful attitude, to analyze, to be skeptical. That's what I often ask people at the beginning of anything I teach. I ask people to be skeptical, to, in the back of your mind, to have to use a Tibetan Buddhist term, a debating mind. It's constantly thinking, I'm not sure that makes sense. Okay? So in that way, to always question whatever you hear, but to also try and apply it to your own experience. Not just over there, like someone else, but your own experience. Okay. So of course, as the title suggests, it's all about where am I? So it's a big part of Buddhism. What is the I? And honestly, our entire life is really about I, me, and mine, right? We think about it all day long. It's about I want this, I don't want that, I need this, I don't need this, take this away from me, or me, they harm me, I gained something, I lost something, I was criticized, I was praised, etc. So it's all about me. Okay, it's just the way it is. Not even in a negative way, just it's about the I. And as one of my teachers once put it, he says we're actually, what we do for the I, what we do without payment, without any, prospect of raise of status, whatever, what we do for the I, we would never do for anyone else. If we had to do what we do for the I, for someone else for 2 weeks, that'd be a long time. Right? I want to shower. I need this, I need some hummus. I need I want, right? And then what's mine, of course? My family, my body, my mind, my clothes, my room, my car, my house, my dog, my family, my dog, etc., right? So it's all about I and me and mine. And that's just the way it is, and that's fine. I mean, we have the word ani for a reason, right? So we use it, it's okay. And we know sometimes there's an exaggerated way of like, oh, I know I'm selfish. Okay, I know that sometimes. But sometimes it's not even selfish, it's just I'm taking what I need to be alive and to be part of society, and that's important. And of course I have responsibility towards my family, towards my mind and body, and then towards my family, towards the members of my community. That's all perfectly all right. But if our life is so much about the I, well, let's check. What is that I? Have we ever stopped to think, what is that I? And that I, that's the one that keeps telling me, I need this, that better be there. I mean, it's been my whole life just about that. And what is it exactly? So Buddhism is so much about the I. Why? Because this sense of an I leads to certain emotional states, such as selfishness, like a disturbing emotion, which in turn leads to craving this, lust for this, like an exaggerated wanting, an exaggerated dislike, which is called anger or resentment, aversion. And it all starts with our sense of who am I? Who are others? Okay? And in Buddhism, we talk about a rational aspect of the mind, of our mind consciousness, right? Mind, which is the experiencing entity that is part of us, different from the physical entity that is the body. You have a non-physical entity that perceives, that experiences. It's an experiencer, a perceiver. The reason I say I see is because my mind sees things, shapes, colors, hears sounds, etc. And thinks about things, judges things. What else? Categorizes things, believes in things, is convinced of something, knows things. So there's this mind that at the very least, it always apprehends something, always perceives something, experiences something. So that's what the mind does. And so, therefore, with regard to this mind, it always has objects, and the object is oftentimes the I. So get to know what is that I that appears to the mind, and that gives rise to different thoughts. And when I say the mind has two aspects, well, what the mind does is rationally thinks about things, has that quality of thinking, of reflecting on things, and those reflections give rise to certain emotions. Okay? Some positive emotions, of course. Oh, this person is in trouble. I need to help them. Okay? Checking out the situation, you drive past the road, there's someone in distress, you stop your car, you realize, oh, their car broke down and they don't know what to do. They're confused, or they don't know how to deal with the situation. So first I rationalize, and then there's the wish to help them. The wish to remove their problem. That's called compassion. The wish to remove someone's suffering. Right? Or I'm with my children and I see them happy. Or I see them a little bit bored, so I want them to be happy. So first I see the situation, I realize they're, maybe bored, and I want them to be happy, so I create a situation that makes them happy. Okay? So our mind works like that, with like rational types of mind giving rise to certain emotions. So I described positive ones, but our problem is our mind thinks about things, and then these thoughts can also give rise to very negative emotions. which actually harm us. Harm us right there and then, but also in the sense that they lead us to act in a certain way, which harms our relationships and eventually leads to a lot of trouble. So one of them would be aversion, hatred, anger. Okay? It's slightly different in the way they operate, but I think we can all agree that hatred is definitely a disturbing emotion, like an emotion that when it's there, we don't feel calm and peaceful. And the longer it stays around, the more it eats in us. This hatred, it kind of eats within us, like it eats our mind. It seems to it actually physically affects us. And we really don't like someone, we have hatred possibly, or anger and resentment. And we may even feel this harms the other person, but most of the time we don't act upon it. Sometimes we do, but oftentimes we just carry it all day long. And the Buddha has said about anger, he says that anger is like taking poison and hoping the other person to die. Hoping for the person of our anger to die, like the object of our anger to die. So it's definitely very disruptive. But then there are other ones such as envy. Now let's take attachment first, right? Holding on to something, feeling like I need this, I want this, and then not be able to let go. That leads to a lot of worry. If we want something, we feel like, I can't be without it. Before you have it, you worry that you don't have it. And when you have it, you worry that you lose it. So it's like there is a slight moment of, I got it, I hold on to it, I've been able, but there's always the sense of worry of losing it, right? Okay, so that's like, first there's like a craving of wanting it, but involved in that is also this not being able to let it go, this holding on to, this being glued to it, in the sense like, I need it. So that actually causes us a lot of trouble. The reason someone like the Buddha talks about it is only because it's unnecessary trouble. It saps our energy, it depresses us, it worries us. And we could use our mind in a much more effective way. Therefore, the Buddha says, well, let's look at these emotions and see whether we can do something about them. What gives rise to them? The rational thinking that preceded it, which is not that rational after all, because we have a sense of ourselves and other phenomena that sometimes it's just a little off. It's not like we're totally wrong, this is my neighbor, this is my dog, this is this. No, but there's a quality we ascribe to phenomena which they don't have, and that kind of additional characteristic we give things, this adding something, adds to our emotional response, and that is more extreme than it could be. And that's what I want to talk about here throughout these 2 days. But to go to the book, to actually, that's what, so the Dalai Lama, what he talks about here in this book, he talks about exactly that. So what is that misperception with respect to the I in particular? What is the I? How does it exist? Does it exist? Yes, of course, but just not in the way we perceive it. Okay? And that gives then rise to certain emotions that actually harm us. But you see, that kind of that kind of explanation is given in order for us to do something with it. To think about, to analyze it. Does that make sense? Okay, to reflect. Okay, and if you feel like it doesn't make sense, all right, fair enough. Okay, then maybe there's something else that makes more sense, whatever that could be. But anyway, to give it a try and to analyze it. And we analyze all the time, we're pretty good at it, so not a big deal. However, what we have, the only thing we have to use this analysis to go through to learn something new, in this case here about this self, we have our mind. And right now we have a bit of a problem with our mind, which is we're very, very disrupted. We don't have much concentration. So in this book, Dalai Lama talks about, there's a chapter on just calming the mind. It's not the first chapter, it's the 8th chapter. But I thought I'll talk about that first, just to say a few words about it. Do a meditation that is described here, which is just helpful in terms of whatever we do. It's like calming the mind in a way in which we become more concentrated, more focused. And that's good for anything. I mean, who wouldn't want a little bit of more focus, a little bit of more concentration? And actually, if we do reflect upon what the eyes, what other things are, if our mind can do so in a very focused way, well, great. But it helps. Focus helps us in any situation, when driving, when working, when being with other people, just listening attentively. Right? It's always good to have some focus. And focus just means not to have all these other disruptive thoughts to come in all the time. Now, I believe a lot of the problems we have in the 21st century, okay, it's great. The 21st century has a lot of advantages. I'm not complaining. It has advantages. There are great things the modern life offers us. A lot of things become easier. We have more time for other things that previously we didn't have time for. No doubt about that. But let's also look at the disadvantages. And one of them, our lives are so busy. And if they're not busy, we just make them busy. Right? We just add a little bit more to is necessary. So, with regard to that,